Welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Faith. And this one's a really, really special podcast because today we have our first ever wrestling superfan on here. The guy's not a wrestler, although I'm sure, like me, he's had many, many dreams and probably even started, even doing things like backyard wrestling and stuff like that, like I used to back in the day. But I was rubbish, hence why I started doing podcasts instead. This is Hennywrestling. Henry, how are we doing, brother?
I'm doing. How you doing today?
Yeah, really, really good, my friend. Whereabouts are you in the US? Tell everybody who's watching, whereabouts are you and what time do you make it over there at the time of this podcast?
All right. So my name is Henry, also known as Henny, grown man who loves God and wrestling, always keeping it PG. From New York. Right now, let me check the time. See for a second. Right now it's 3:36 Eastern time in New York.
Excellent, man. What's the weather like in New York?
Right, it's bipolar so far. One day is cold, the other day feels like spring. It's giving that sign that spring is coming in, but I know for living in New York all my life, winter always takes forever to leave once spring starts.
Do you know what? If that's the case, my friend, you would acclimatize more than quickly if you ever went to the UK, mate. Honestly, it's no different over here. So like I say, yeah, you would acclimatize, no dramas. Henry, it's been a while since you and me have been talking on Twitter. Really thanks for rescheduling the podcast as well. And yeah, like I say, my friend, most important question I'm going to ask you today is, how are you doing overall?
I'm doing okay. I'm taking a day at a time. No, we can't look back to what happened and it's already over, and we can't be anxious of what's going to happen next because you're not going to know what's going to happen. I'm just taking it a day at a time, and whenever the Lord allows me to open my eyes and see another day, I just continue to strive until He calls me home.
Amen, man. And like I say, the scripture says, done it as well, that God will put those in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on Him. So if we just keep that the focus, and like I say, just keep our focus on God, not be like Peter when he walked across the water and saw the storm. We need to keep our eyes solely on Jesus, don't we? And as you and I know, as Christians, when you're walking in faith, sometimes it is easier said than done. But the most important thing is, we don't need to beat ourselves up if we slip, if we regress, because, Jesus has already paid the debt of sin, man. Do you know what I mean? And those who believe in Him and that He resurrected on the third day, we're going to have that eternal party in heaven one day, all of us together, man. So it's all good, all good. So, Henry, you are, as your hoodie absolutely stands out, screams out, wrestling is forever. You're an absolute wrestling super fan. I've seen your Instagram with you. Thousands and thousands of followers on there, the thousands of videos that you've uploaded and clips and stuff like that, and obviously all the stuff I've seen you obviously getting your photos done with other wrestlers from different organizations all across America. Tell me, how did it start, your love affair with wrestling?
Honestly, it was just by watching. I remember my first wrestling match that I've seen. Hopefully I'm telling the truth, but I remember Shawn Michaels versus Austin, WrestleMania 14.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson was very popular at that time, so he was with DX. He was a special enforcer at that time. So let's say the referee, which we know he got knocked out supposedly.
Yeah.
It was up to Mike Tyson, to be the enforcers. Like if a pin or submission does happen during the match, he is there to be as a backup. I remember Austin hitting the stunner to Michaels and Tyson hit the 1, 2, 3. And I was like, wait a minute. Ain't he with Shawn Michaels? Like, what he doing this with Austin? And Michaels was like, that and all you see is a fake knockout punch. And I was like, I felt confused because I was like, wait a minute, he's with Michaels. Like, what is going on? And then seeing Austin and Tyson walking backstage, and it's like, wow. But I just continue watching ever since then. I just don't know. It was just in me. it wasn't like, oh, I saw an indie show or a WWE show and I got hooked ever since. It was just I watched that, and I guess there was a phase as a kid where everybody watched wrestling, and then there will be a stage where people would stop watching it, but I kept continuing. There was a slight time where I stopped watching it because I felt like it was just the same thing every single week. And also because I wanted to play professional baseball before all of this content and stuff. I wasn't great. I wasn't like like the best in the country or best in the city. I was just not true to myself. I learned I learned throughout the whole process is there's nothing wrong in believing yourself, but you have to be true to yourself at the same time. Because I cannot be here and say, oh, I'm not getting these scholarships, these contracts that I want. But if I'm not putting in the work necessary day in and day out, then I cannot expect those scholarships or those contracts to come in my way because I'm not consistent work. So for those out there who have big dreams, wants to play professional sports and stuff, there's nothing wrong in believing yourself, but you have to be true to yourself, because the moment you are true to yourself is the moment you're going to realize that what you're doing may not be good enough and you may have to be consistent. So all of those things that you're looking for will come to you, but you need to be true to yourself in order to get where you want to go as far as like being a professional athlete. So moving forward, I got back watching wrestling, I'll say 2009, 2010. It was a stressful, I'll say a good 5-6 years because of the fact that with WWE, I'm a hardcore wrestling fan. I'm not, you said I'm a super fan, and I get upset when WWE does not like push these talented stars that, okay, they're not box office people, but they can at least fill up the super fans, the hardcore wrestling.
100% agree. Yeah.
So you can have your box office people, but also you can have your hardcore wrestling fans. You always need balance. You just can't have the entire egg, the so many eggs in one basket. You need to have a balance.
Yeah.
But then NXT came, and then I learned about the indies. That's when the love of wrestling came back to me, because I was like, where in the world was I missing? What was I missing throughout all these years? So, the love of wrestling has always been there. I just
100%.
don't been there.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I noticed, and I don't know if it was the same thing for you, but when lockdown really hit globally, COVID really hit globally, and literally every country that was literally shut down. One thing I noticed when I was told to work from home is I'd have my work station set up, but then like during the day, throughout the day, just to help keep me sane, apart from my wife and my kids, God love them, just to help keep me sane, I'd be watching all the wrestling. So I'll be watching any highlight reels I could get from WWE, which would include NXT as well. And man, NXT quickly became my favorite show on WWE. Raw, once upon a time, you're talking about WrestleMania 14, the Michaels and Austin. That was like on the crest of the Attitude Era wave, which was phenomenal. I mean, everything back then worked. Raw and SmackDown were just fire. You couldn't wait to watch one after the other, after the other. Now for me, I don't know if it's the same for you. Raw, I only watch the highlights just in case I'm frightened, in case I do miss something worth watching. SmackDown is a little bit better. I was more of a fan of NXT in its original format than NXT 2.0. I've got to be brutally honest. But from there, I really got into other things like more into New Japan, more into MLW. I'd never even heard of MLW as well. So I got into MLW, and I was watching obviously more NWA, and also, I connected back again with Impact, the artist formerly known as TNA. Do you know what I mean? And from there, like I say, in a similar way to yourself, mine grew. When you obviously got into watching NXTs and you started appreciating the indies, what really struck out for you on the indie scene?
The matches, honestly, the matches. I'm a type of wrestling fan that I like to sit back and watch matches. Watch whether it's one-on-one, tag team, trio, fatal four-way, five-way, six-way, scramble match. As long as is of a competitive match that I could sit there and just enjoy it, I'm completely fine. Now, as far as like characters, their mic work and stuff, if they got it, that's extra for me. But as far as like their in-ring work, that's what I'm all about. I'm really not about the mic, the story. I mean, the story. Although in the ring they do tell the story, but I'm not really into the story outside of the ring. Like I'm more like in ring work. Like okay, you could talk, you could do a promo, but can you wrestle? Can you do the fun? And you do the fundamentals. This whole flipping thing, I was into it, but then I understand that it started getting like a little bit they're overdoing it. So it's like, okay, you guys need to go back to the basic, to the fundamentals. You could do your flips for that, but take care of the fundamentals first. So I'm more of an in-ring, as a fanatic, I'm more of an in-ring work than outside.
Fantastic. I mean, you say about the flipping there, it's like you say, once upon a time it was like, whoa, you've got to check this out. But like now you see it in just about every promotion, and it's almost what we call in the UK, it's like a ten a penny, or what you guys might say a dime a dozen thing. Now you can just see it anywhere and everywhere. I think there are certain people for me that will always be up there on that level in that type of wrestling, and that's the likes of Ray Phoenix,
Yes.
Trey Miguel, I think is fantastic as well. TJP, guys like that are just absolutely phenomenal, because they were doing that sort of thing where people were just like, all we want to see is big roided up guys. Do you know what I mean? Just literally suplexing and throwing each other around. Where when you watch guys like that who are not built, who don't necessarily look like wrestlers, and you see them doing the walking across the ropes and the flips and this, it is a spectacle to watch. And I think, like you say, there's a time and a place simply to use that style of wrestling, but it's all about your tacticians. I don't know about you, but one of the best ones that I've seen, and he hasn't missed a beat since he switched promotions, is Bryan Danielson.
Oh yeah, whew, that man.
Honestly, he just looks like he could just get better and better with age. Like we see a lot of guys who are just the slow the minutes down. Like, sad but true, your Goldbergs can only do about 3 or 4 minutes now. And, the Undertaker towards the end of his career, it was very, very limited in the movements. And of course, that comes with age, that comes with time and injuries. But I look at Bryan Danielson, it's just like, man, you're better than what you wear in Ring of Honor. Do you know what I mean? So there are certain guys who just don't miss a beat. But getting on to in-ring, where it's all happening, what wrestlers stick out for you that you think, you know what, I'm dropping everything because I know these people are going to deliver?
That's a lot. Oh my god, that's a lot of wrestlers. a lot. There's a lot. Adam Cole comes to my mind. His ring IQ, the way he does his thing in the ring. Like when I saw him in NXT and his run with the NXT Championship, it's like it was golden. It was gold. It was just amazing to see someone in his size. I don't know if he's really a heavyweight. He looks like a cruiserweight to me.
Yeah.
But to see someone like him who has a world championship caliber and do it on a stage like WWE, like it's unbelievable that he defended the belt not only in NXT but on Raw, SmackDown, and one of their big 4 pay-per-views after he just went through a crazy match at War Games. So it's just like it's like seeing him wrestle is just like I'm also a fanatic of Adam Cole ever since the first ever NXT War Games.
Yeah.
But he is amazing. Also I don't know if you know this man. Low key, he is.
Yeah, back in the TNA days, man. X
Yeah,
Division.
yeah.
Yeah.
I seen him a lot in House of Glory, New York. So he's amazing. That's another guy. It's just so many wrestlers that you know when you see them, they stand out and they impress you. It's just so many of them. Like we'll spend hours, if not a day, just making a list of who impressed us and stuff. So
with low key, then obviously he's doing the indie shows in your neck of the woods in New York. How does he still look now compared to say the sort of 2003, 2004 era of TNA?
that man still can go. He can still go. He's a champion. He's a crown jewel champion for House of Glory.
Right.
He was supposed to have a match against Buddy Matthews, but Amazing got hurt.
Right.
So he faced his fellow buddy Eddie Kingston last year. Their last show. And then last month he was supposed to face was it last February. He was supposed to face Alex Shelley, but Alex Shelley didn't show up. And then we had Jay Lethal come out of nowhere and they put a phenomenal. And come next Friday, he was supposed to face Jonathan Gresham, but for some reason he's not going to be able to show up, which I believe that was going to be a banging match. Low key versus Jonathan Gresham. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Out of schedule, or he decided to go somewhere else, or maybe that acquisition that happened on Wednesday with
Yeah, I was going to touch on that. Maybe that might have something to do with it contractually. We don't know, do we?
But next Friday he's gonna face Oni Lorcan. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Of the tag team champions with Danny Burch.
That's right. Yeah, I remember.
All I know.
Man alive. So where's this gonna be, this next show then?
It's gonna be in Queens, New York. So I'm definitely gonna be there. We also have Ray Phoenix and Penta facing the Briscoe brothers.
Oh man, that's gonna be fire.
That's gonna be an amazing match. And then Taya Valkyrie, she's gonna have a title match against the Russian Crush, Natalia Markova. I don't know if you're too familiar with her.
Yeah. Wow, yeah, because Taya Valkyrie, man. I mean, that was a strange one, wasn't it? In terms of like the sort of WWE run, if you can call it that. And it just kind of, WWE at the moment, man. Honestly, I don't know about you as a super fan, but I never thought I'd be in an era where I was time after time after time consistently disappointed with an organization, with a wrestling promotion. I mean, everyone's going to have the favorites. Everyone's going to have the pluses and the minuses. But man alive, I just don't know where the decision making and the creative is at in that company at the moment, man. I really don't.
I realize with WWE, they know what they're doing. It's just they're just selective in what they want to do. That I know WWE could do so much, but they're selective in what they do. Everybody's talking about like, oh, they don't know how to build stars. Yes, they do. They just handpick the wrestlers that they want to build on.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Look at Bianca Belair. Like, I never thought they would push her so much that now she's having another title shot opportunity. 2 WrestleManias in a row.
True. Yeah.
Squash, but she's getting that push, you know, and I'm happy that she's getting that push because she is very, very talented, especially when she have little experience of wrestling. Come on, you can't beat that. But
absolutely,
with WWE, they know how to build stars. It's just their selection. Because you see Seth Rollins, you see Roman Reigns, like these guys came up to their system, and now they're just the 1-2. Well, Roman Reigns number 1, Seth Rollins is number 2. We all know.
Yeah.
But they're big wrestling stars in the WWE. So they can build and they know how to build stars. It's just they're very picky with who they want to build.
In terms of that, then, at the moment, just looking at the landscape of wrestling, mainstream wrestling organizations as we know them, who do you think is in the ascendancy, and who do you think, if any, are in the descendancy in terms of popularity? I mean, who do you think's getting the rub of the green at the moment? Who do you think that, especially in your stateside, where it's probably bigger than, it's probably as big as what it is in Japan? When you're speaking to people in the States about wrestling, who are they usually chanting for in terms of organizations across there mostly?
Or in terms of how can I say this? In terms of the wrestling organizations, or what state or something?
Yeah, who seems to be in the ascendancy in terms of popularity, and whose popularity is nosediving?
For here in New York, HOG, House of Glory.
Right.
That's right now, they're the popular wrestling organization in New York City right now. House of Glory, the big star, where the big stars you see in New Japan and all these organizations, if they're independent, they're straight to HOG. Right now, House of Glory is the most popular wrestling promotion in New York, right? In New York City, and probably in New York.
Fair play. So with that being said, then obviously the affiliation with New Japan, do you get any sort of Bullet Club coming over and things like that, or does it tend to be the actual direct stars from Japan that are coming over?
I smell a Bullet Club invasion.
Yes.
You know what's the thing? I believe the Bullet Club, they're trying to have a group in each organization.
Yeah.
They already have an established group in New Japan. Now they're trying to have an established group in Impact, an established group in AEW. Now, I don't know which other promotions, but those are the three promotions that they're trying to establish a faction. So when the crossovers happen, or whatever the case may be, when people come in or they tune in, they know who the Bullet Club are. That they're not just known about, the time when Cody, Bucks, and Omega, Hangman, and Marty Scurll, they're not those type of Bullet Club, but the Bullet Club that is formed faction all over the indie scenes.
So what we're saying then, Henry, are you thinking that these are being deliberately planted in these mainstream organizations to eventually have a Bullet Club uprising?
Yeah, I believe so.
You've heard it here first, guys, on the Wrestling with Faith podcast. If that does happen, remember this date, remember this podcast. You heard it here first, and Henry wants his commission on that as well, 100%. Do you know what, man? What a great storyline that would be, to build something like that over the course of months, if not a year or two as well, and then just have this, we were hidden in plain sight type scenario, which... Man, I've not. Do you know what? I've not even looked at that, mate. And it's been there everywhere I've looked where there's been Bullet Club. You're just thinking, man, I'll have these Bullet Clubs, man. They're spreading like seeds everywhere, and because obviously you had the Tama Tonga came over. Obviously they had the falling out just recently with Switchblade and things like that. And like you say, you've got obviously the Bucks and Kenny and things like that in AEW. They're all over, aren't they? Man, that's an awesome way to, man, imagine that. If that did happen, man, that would be absolutely incredible. HOG then, where can we get that in the UK? Can it be streamed in the UK? Where can wrestling fans over here get access to that you know of?
If you guys have Fight TV,
Yes.
I don't know if you guys are able to have that access, but okay. That's where House of Glory has been putting their shows on that on that brand, on Fight TV. That's where most of their shows be at.
Yeah, that's where we can get access to NWA and AEW as well, and some MLW pay-per-views as well on there. So yeah, Fight is a really, really popular app, and it's something that I use. Funnily enough, 10 minutes ago before we came on, I finally just caught up with all of AEW barring obviously tonight's Rampage. And Revolution. Then we touched upon that. You mentioned it on another podcast. Then, so let's quickly go through it. Then, what's your rundowns? What's your predictions for AEW Revolution? Because that is the next pay-per-view that we're all talking about in the world of mainstream wrestling.
Man, I wish I had the match cards right in my face right now.
But off the top of your head, brother, just fire away.
So as far as with the championships, the AEW World Title, Hangman Page versus Adam Cole. As much as I want Adam Cole to win, I don't think he's gonna get the belt. I don't think Hangman Page is dropping the belt anytime soon. So I got Hangman Page over Adam Cole. It's bad timing. We spoke about this last night, that it was bad timing for Adam Cole to become the #1 contender. It's very bad timing, but at the same time, it was understanding because of the fact that Kenny Omega is still not 100% healthy to come back to the ring, and Kyle O'Reilly just recently had a baby. So that feud with Elite and the Undisputed Era can't collide simply because of those two situations. The AEW Women's title, Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. I had Thunder Rosa once they announced the match, but after what happened on Wednesday, with Rosa pinning Britt Baker, I think Britt Baker is gonna retain the title, unless they're still planning to put the belt to Thunder Rosa. But I think Britt Baker is going to retain simply because of what happened on Wednesday.
I'd agree with that 100%. That last one, yeah, definitely.
The TBS title, Jade Cargill versus Cycanti. This is going to be a competitive match, but I believe they're just making Jade Cargill become better and better and better in these, to improve herself as a wrestler, because she is a wonderful athlete. You guys got to stop hating on her because just because she's an athlete and she didn't went through the indies, that doesn't mean you have to hate on her, because it's like, there's how many people came in the wrestling and have huge success, like
Ultimate Warrior being one of them. Ultimate Warrior was never a wrestler, never is a bodybuilder.
Batista, all these guys. So let's not knock someone like Jade Cargill, who is probably putting in the work that the other true professional wrestlers are putting in the work. So I believe Jade Cargill is going to be undefeated. I believe she's going to retain. And that's my pick for Jade Cargill over Ty Conti. Now, the match between MJF and CM Punk, I forgot. It's
Dog collar. Yeah, that's the one, man. Yeah, it's the same match that Cody and Brody had. Yeah, for the TNT title.
Yeah. Marshall, but it's Brody Lee. Yeah. I can go to the family because I know I'm pretty sure they're still going through it, man.
Yeah.
I got Punk winning. MJF won the first match, and MJF gave Punk his first loss. I believe Punk is going to win, and I do believe that Warlord might help Punk win this match, because Warlord is getting to the point where he's going to turn babyface.
Yeah,
and it's going to get to the point where we spoke last night that Warlord might have to go through Shawn Spears and probably get MJF after that. So I got Punk winning that match. Then the tag team titles, we have the triple threat. I want the Red Dragons to win, but I think they're going to still get it to Jurassic Express. I know a lot of people love Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, but I'm sorry. Them having the title to sit well with me. I'm so sorry. But
do you find it a little bit gimmick? Is it because it's a bit gimmicky?
It's just I just think it's gimmick wise. But I know people is with it, so
I think Jungle Boy is going to be an absolute, and I'm sure you'll probably agree. I think as the years roll on, I think he's going to be a phenomenal solo athlete, singles competitor. For me, the one thing that doesn't work for me with Jurassic Express, just touching on that point, is Christian. For me, yeah, I'm just not feeling it, man. I think Christian's far too serious, personality-wise, character-wise. was Jurassic Express were like all about the fun. I know we haven't seen Marco stunt for many, many, many months. I think last time I heard he was doing The Voice or something like that. He's auditioning for The Voice.
Yeah, but he's no longer with AEW, so that's
No,
why you don't.
that's what. Well, I thought that was the case. Yeah, but I kept seeing like conflicting information about that. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Red Dragon. I mean, they are tag champs in the waiting, aren't they? And can you imagine the feuds that they'd have with the Bucks, with FTR as well, and I really like 2.0 as well. I think they've got. Yeah, I love the comedy value of them, especially when they're doing the being the elite, but. I don't know. I think that there's something about those guys. But yeah, sorry to interrupt, man. You were saying that you don't think the belts sit right with Jurassic Express, but you think they will retain.
They will retain. It doesn't sit well with me. I don't know what it is. It's probably because of the gimmick and things of that nature. But I do agree with what you said. Jungle Boy is going to be a star. There was the match that comes to my mind, him against Kenny Omega for the AEW World Title I think it was last year. He was this close. He did a phenomenal job, but them with the tag team, them having the tag team title doesn't sit well with me. I'm sorry for everyone who loves Jurassic Express. I like them too, but it's not. They're not my type.
I think the reason why they won it so early though was Rey Fenix injured, and I believe the Lucha Bros had to drop the belts for injury. I think wasn't it maybe?
I think they was gonna win the tag titles.
Oh, right, night. Fair play.
It was like the moment in the match was supposed to happen was Luchasaurus was supposed to choke slam Rey Fenix through a table. So at that Penta and Jungle Boy, they have that one-on-one, right. And Jurassic Express goes over Penta, and Jungle Boy would have his moment because he's like the star of the tag team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what a great guy to build a company around as well. Do you know what I mean? As the years roll on, Revolution ladder match.
I got the Limitless, Keith Lee. Listen, if you bring him in, I'm not saying he has to be in an undefeated streak, but if you bring him in and you're gonna book him to win the ladder match, he better win the TNT title. I'm telling you now, because if he doesn't win, then all that hype of him coming to AEW and all of that's going to be thrown out the window. Like, don't be like I don't want to say, but don't be like WWE that they have their champions. You have a new star, but you're putting in there just for them to have them do something. No, Keith Lee, he wins. Give him the belt. Now, if you don't want Sammy Guevara to drop the belt too soon, then you built it to either, I think, battle the belts too, or to double or nothing. One of them two. But if Keith Lee wins come Sunday, he has to have that TNT title.
100%. And I think Keith Lee would get a bigger pop with the belt than what Sammy is. And that's nothing against Sammy. I just think, I love watching the vlog. I think there's some great moments on Sammy's vlog. I just think there are certain aspects where there's a bit too much Sammy sometimes. And I think he doesn't seem to get the pops now, what he used to do, say maybe 6 to 10 months ago. But I think if you put the belt on someone like Keith, where we've had Cody, he almost had like that John Cena effect with the AEW crowd, where it was like a mixture of boos and cheers. I loved Cody. I think he's a phenomenal wrestler. I think he's great on the mic as well. And, him and his family, they've done a lot for mainstream wrestling and indie wrestling as well. But for me, you put something like that on Keith Lee, who you look at him and you think, what's this guy going to do? And one of the matches I saw was on the Indies, and it was Keith Lee versus Brian Cage versus Sami Callihan. And if you've not seen it, just type that into YouTube and just watch these three guys. Literally, they're not just throwing each other about, but they're doing moves that you look at those guys and think, you shouldn't be doing that. That just defies gravity, man, what you guys... And honestly, it is one of the most phenomenal matches I've seen. ever. It's just incredible, man. Have you seen that, Henry?
I don't think I haven't seen that, but I'm gonna have to see it myself. I'm pretty sure Jaws was dropping at that time.
Mate, honestly, you get on that. Sami Callihan versus Brian Cage versus Keith Lee. It is just ridiculous. Going back to Wardlow, I'm thinking if there's going to be anything sort of story-wise building up from Revolution, I think it's going to be something to do with Wardlow. Either Spears is going to cost him the ladder match, or like you say, it could interfere. But do you know one of the things that I've really, really loved with this Wardlow story is they have built it and built it and built it and built it. I mean, the tension between MJF and Wardlow was there getting on about 8 months ago, maybe 10 months ago. And then all of a sudden, Wardlow went on this phenomenal streak where he's only defeating 24 against CM Punk. And AEW have done a fantastic job of really building Wardlow, not just saying, we just want to throw the big guy in there and let him decimate his boss. What's your feelings on the Wardlow storyline?
I actually like it because it keeps you on your toes every single. It keeps you on your toes every single week. Like, yeah, he power bombs his opponents like the Lord knows how many times. Like they might have to go to a chiropractor after with the messed up with so many power bombs they receive. But I like that they're really getting to the breaking point where Warlord is just gonna snap and say, you know what, you could do whatever you want, but I want my hands on you. So let's see how it goes. If they do this, I won't say perfect, but if they could do this correctly, I think this will like burst. Like we all know MJF, but like it will like shoot Warlord as one of the top babyface in AEW.
Absolutely, yeah. And what we don't want to do is I think AEW made a little bit of an error in terms of the Brian Cage thing. Brian Cage is an absolute phenomenal athlete, but I just think the storyline with him breaking away from Team Taz, I don't know. And then like they had him like getting buried in a lot of matches afterwards, and it didn't work. I'm just hoping that they don't do that with Wardlow, where he has this phenomenal storyline, and then it's just like mid card. Do you know what I mean? It's got to have something it's got to lead to something.
Mm-hmm.
Just breaking away from AEW at the moment, obviously we've got the biggest wrestling event of them all happening in the next few weeks, which is obviously WrestleMania. Honest thoughts from what you've seen so far and from what the rumors are in terms of matches, are you genuinely excited for WrestleMania? And second question, do you agree with this 2-day WrestleMania thing?
All right, so first and foremost, you probably saw my face expression. Like
I've heard a rumor that it's Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee. I don't know. I don't know how true that's going to be.
I mean, if that's the case, then that means I will have like 2 matches that I'm looking forward to see at WrestleMania, which is AJ Styles versus Edge, and then you have McAfee versus Vince, which that could be entertaining itself because if you have seen McAfee from TakeOver 30, I believe, to War Games before they went to NXT 2.0, like McAfee looked like he has done this for many years. Like that man, for a guy who just kicked a football for almost all his life, like this man could do great things in the ring. Like I'm not saying he could like do some moonsault and stuff, but at least he got the basics.
Yeah, he's no moose, is he? But he could have something about him. Yeah.
Let's see what happens with which opponent he would face. Vince, just stay backstage so we could keep criticizing you and your old mentality.
I miss Attitude Era, Mr. McMahon. Do you know what I mean? But now I just think as a wrestling fan, and look, WWF as it was when I was growing up, when I started switching onto it in the late 80s, early 90s, it was Hulk Hogan it was Ultimate Warrior, it was Macho Man. And let's be brutally honest, man, that were the foundations that what we've got now.
Yes.
You know, with all those guys and those women managers, we had like, you know, Sensational Sherry, Miss Elizabeth, and, you know, then we've got the Attitude Era, and it just kicked open so many doors globally. It just bothers me now that this WWE that we've got now, I don't know. I always hope it's going to get better and better, but I think it's going to get worse before it does get better at WWE. And I don't know what it's going to be. Whether it's going to need a takeover from somebody else. I don't know what the situation is going to be. But I used to look forward to WrestleMania, and man, since WrestleMania maybe 30, 31, I've been like, nah. Do you know what I mean? Nah. So we shall see. You know, it's one of those. But the Undertaker though, Hall of Fame, about time.
Yeah, Hall of Fame. To go back to your question, when you say the 2 nights, yes, WWE needs to do 2 nights at WrestleMania, because ever since that WrestleMania that happened here in the tri-state area, where it started at 6 o'clock with the pre-show and then finished at 1 o'clock at night, like, that's a huge no-no. Like, you could have just, the matches that you guys like really invested, you could have just put it there instead of like putting matches just to put matches. Like, you're better off doing 2 days like that. Those who can make it on Saturday can go to Saturdays, and those who can make it on Sunday can make it on Sunday. And like that, people can recuperate for Monday. Like that, people could go back to whether their 9 to 5 job or the business that they're like handling and things of that nature. Like that, people have energy to go through to go about their day. But you can't do from 6 o'clock in the evening to 1 o'clock at night. Like, that's exhausting. Like,
A shift
we
in it,
know,
that.
but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's exhausting.
Yeah. It is. I mean, I've been to WWE events in the UK, and they don't tend to go any longer than sort of your average Raw show, really, like sort of 3 hours. I mean, you know, over here, you're probably well aware, we used to have things like Insurrection and things like that over here, which were like these sort of, you know, the way by any stretch the most important pay-per-views throughout the year, but they were still entertaining. I think now they just tend to sort of throw the Raw and the SmackDown over here and the NXT to keep the storylines going. But like you say, 3 to 4 hours is just enough. Anything after that, and it's like, man, I'm spent as a fan. I'm spent. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and then obviously getting home as well and stuff like that. We're almost at the end now, Henry. And what I want to touch upon briefly, well, for as long as you want, is your journey with the Lord as well. As we know, it's been really refreshing for me as a podcast and a wrestling fan, the amount of wrestlers that I speak to who have got faith and how they came to it. But it's nice to speak to a fan as well, like myself. How did your journey with the Lord start?
I'm gonna tell you this: God is good, despite what I've been going through. But God is good. Listen, if it wasn't for Him, I would not be here talking to you right now. I'm not saying that I had like a horrible story and things of that nature, but I was just one of those. I was just one of those people or kid growing up that, like, you know, like, it's like a 50-50 with me. Like, I'll probably stand out. I'll probably might not stand out, depending on like my mindset and stuff. But this is the thing about the Lord. Like, He could just easily pick a standout person that you see on TV and stuff, but instead he just goes after like the ones that feels like overlooked, or you know, it feels like, or things like, you know, they can't do it, they can't do anything, and next thing you know, you see God taking them and using them for His glory, for His kingdom. Growing up, I got to know a Christian family. Like, they came into our lives, and then we started going to church, and we started to go to a church near the old neighborhood that I used to live in. And that, I just felt like that was the plant, that was the seed needed planted in my life, that no matter what happens, no matter how much I leave, like, I could always go back. I could always go back to him. Like, I'm not saying like if I leave now, like I could go back to him then, because like we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But just thinking about it is like, no matter how many times I walk away, like he is still waiting for me. He is still waiting for me. And also, I learned I can't win. I can't win. I can't win one with him. Like when he wants you, he wants you. Like you're not escaping from him.
Nah.
You know. So for me, this journey hasn't been easy, because of the fact is that our reputation as Christians, just like a lot of people like to call, has damage, because of the fact that we're trying to expect, once everyone, let's say a person accepts Christ, we expect them to transform from Monday to Tuesday or Monday to a Friday, and it doesn't work like that. Like, it takes time, it takes trial and tribulations, you know, for a person to like really grow and really transform. Because if that was the case, then everyone would have been transformed by now.
Yeah, man, 100%. Yeah.
And so we have to understand God gives free will. That's why his word says, choose who you want to serve. And I think choose who you want to serve on the day, because God allows you, like, either you serve him with all your heart, with all your mind, all your soul, or you just do your own thing.
Yeah.
It has been rocky. It has been, seesaw, but I think in this stage, I just been holding on, because of the fact that the pandemic has been hard for a lot of us, because we had that routine of going the Sundays, and then whatever day of the week we could congregate during the weekdays, we go there too. But now, because of this pandemic, it became a lot hard. And for me, I was able to sustain because of the people that I have in my life. And here at home, it doesn't help a lot, but just the people that I gather in them virtually and things of that nature, that would, like, honestly help me to stay. And also, like, if I leave, like, God is going to continue to be God, but I just feel like my life is going to be a lot worse. I'm at where I'm at because of God. It's not because of me. I'm nobody special. I'm a human being like everybody else.
Yeah.
But it's just him. It's him. Everybody is like, oh, how you meet these wrestlers or how you meet these famous people. It's not me. It's him. Like, I could be in a place, and next thing you know, I bump into someone that I've seen on TV and stuff, and and I be like, what in the world is going on? So it's really not me. It's him. And now I'm in a role where I went back to college. I haven't gone back to a semester, because I'm trying to figure out what I want to do outside of wrestling content and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm a president of a Christian club in my college, which,
praise God,
which I just came in like last year, and for some reason, a lot of people was like, oh, you could ask Henry if he wants to do it. And I'm just like, I just came here. Like, you had people being there for years. I just came here, so it's not me, it's him. All of this that's going on, it's because of him. It's really not because of me. Trust him.
You just hit upon a good point there. Like, where you say being made president, you say it was president of the Christian section of the college, is that right? Christian group?
Seekers Club. That's what it's called.
Yeah, Seekers Club. You see, and like you say, you've walked in there going, well, hang on a minute, I'm like the new kid on the block here. Do you know what I mean? It's like, why are you picking me? It's because God's put something in their heart to come and ask you. It's like, maybe they've been praying for Henry to come in. Do you know what I mean? And you've not known it, but then you walk in there and it's just like, actually, you're just what we've been praying for. Do you know what I mean? And you could be like, I didn't even know these prayers were going on. But listen, if that's what God wants us to do, that's what God wants us to do. And every one of us has got that. We have that purpose in the body of Christ. The leg can't do what the hand can do, and vice versa. You know what I mean? But working together, that can achieve amazing things,
Go ahead, go finish. I'm sorry.
No, and I was going to say, we've all got that purpose, and like you say, you're getting these opportunities to meet some of these people who you're watching on telly, who you respect, who you love the craft and stuff like that, and that's because you put your hand to the plow. You've dedicated yourself. You love wrestling, and you don't just love wrestling just for the sake of for it to be a conversation piece. You genuinely have got a passion for it. And when you've got a passion for something and you put your hand to the plow, the Bible says, those who put the hand to the plow, God loves those who work hard and just dig in, even if the labor is tough, even if it's hard graft and it takes years. Before you know it, you'll walk through somewhere and be like, wow, what door have I just walked through? Because here's the land of milk and honey. Do you know what I mean? So, the Lord works in ways that you and I, at this stage, we can't understand. But as the scripture says, when we get to heaven, we'll know all things. So it'll all become clear eventually, man.
Yeah.
On the back of that, I've got a spot question that I ask, spot few questions, and I ask everybody. If you've seen any of my podcasts, you'll see that I catch everybody out I possibly can with it. There's only one person I spoke to who's just like, oh yeah, bang, 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 bang. Right then, Henry, you have just become the captain of a Survivor Series team. You're going against my team, but I've not unveiled yet the 4 people that are on my team. You're allowed to choose any wrestler from any organization, male or female, who are still with us or who have gone to be with the Lord. Who do you choose for your Survivor Series team to take on the Wrestling with Faith faction? It's a good one, isn't it?
Oh, man. All right. Okay, here we go. Obviously, I need the 2 powerhouses. I need Brock. I need Roman Reigns. I know a lot of people don't like Brock. It's just the pushes that he's getting. Let's just be honest. It's just the pushes that he's getting that the other wrestlers deserve. That is it. So I got the 2 powerhouses there. Now, as far who I can, Adam Cole has to come in. Like, that's automatic. Okay, so it's one more. I need a speed guy. I'm gonna ask Sammy Guevara. So I got Roman, Guevara, Cole, and Brock Lesnar.
Perfect. I'm gonna go. Not for any controversial reasons, purely because I've seen both of these wrestlers fight each other in a 2 out of 3 exhibition match in the UK, and that's Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle. So I've got my grapplers in there and my technical wrestlers. I'm going to need a powerhouse in there as well. So if I'm going to go for a powerhouse throughout all the ages and who can also fire the crowd up as well, I'm going to go Macho Man Randy Savage. I'm going to get him in there. And I'm going to pick a new one. And if I was to pick a female, I'd go Britt Baker, without doubt, DMD. But I'm not. I'm going to go with a fit and healthy Kenny Omega to make up my team as well. So there we are. Here's another question as well. Congratulations, Henry. You've just won the TNT Championship on AEW. Fantastic. What a great debut. The following week, you're so full of confidence. You're giving it the big licks in the ring. You issue an open air challenge to anybody in the back to come out and dare to take your title off you. You want the match of matches. Who do you hope steps out of that doorway through that iron curtain when you issue an open challenge for your title?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know why this is on my mind. I don't like him. I love his work. I don't like him because he kayfabes a lot.
MJF, excellent. Do you know what? For me, pound for pound, just the best person on the mic I've seen in the last year. I mean, we was blessed to have The Rock, do you know what I mean, in his pomp. MJF as a heel, man, he cuts like a knife through butter, man. It's just absolute. And what is he, 24, 25?
It's 20. Yes.
Man alive. You imagine what that's going to be like in 10 years, man. Do you know what I mean? It's just incredible. Henry, it's been an absolute pleasure, brother. We are at the end of the podcast, and I know that me and you, as you rightfully said earlier on, we could probably talk for hours and hours and hours, past, present, and future about wrestling. Henry, I want you to plug all of your social media. Where can people see your content, see your thoughts, see places where you've been on other podcasts? Plug your social media, and then when this goes out, all of Henry's social media tags will be in the descriptions on the YouTube video as well.
All right, so you guys can catch me on Instagram, on Twitter, TikTok every now and then, not too often, and also YouTube.
Excellent stuff. And what's the tags on Instagram?
All of them is Hennywrestling. All of them.
All of them, Henry Wrestling, all one word.
Henny, not Henry. Henny.
Henry, I do apologize, brother. Henny Wrestling, all one word. And like I say, I'll be putting the tags in there as well. So, Henry, it's been absolutely fantastic. Really, really appreciate your time in your afternoon, my evening. And God bless you, brother. This has been Wrestling with Faith. You've hit the Superfan sessions, volume 1 on this one. And like I say, keep an eye out for this guy and the content. And honestly, don't get jealous, Rage, all the photos he's got with all these amazing wrestlers and stuff like that. It's just the circles that God's put him in. Henry, it's been a pleasure, brother. This has been Wrestling with Faith. God bless, and thank you for your time.